competition between the U.S. and China for Pacific hegemony is heating up. At the center of it all is Tinian Island, where the history of World War II lives and breathes. The U.S. military airfield on this island, which had been neglected for decades, is awakening again.
The British daily newspaper The Times reported on the 23rd. The United States is rebuilding 2 large airstrips on Tinian Island, and the construction is expected to be completed next month. Tinian Island is a historical site where B-29 bombers that dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki took off during World War II. However, the airfield was closed in 1946, the year after the war ended, and has been left abandoned for decades, covered in jungle. The reason why this airfield is now being revived is because of China's military rise. In recent years, China has strengthened military training in the waters around Taiwan and is concentrating its forces, such as long-range missiles, fighter jets, and aircraft carriers, in the Western Pacific. In response, the United States is moving away from its traditional strategy, centered on large military bases, and is pursuing a rapid combat deployment, or ACE, strategy that disperses troops into small groups and allows rapid deployment. The reconstruction of Tinian Airfield is a key point in this ACE strategy. The U.S. has currently invested about $400 million to resurface the runway, add new taxiways and an apron, and the $162 million project is expected to be completed in October of this year. The Times forecasts that the airport will be fully operational within the next 18 months. So why did the U.S. choose Tinian? First, Tinian is a strategically important location adjacent to Guam and Saipan. Second, it was already a base for the U.S. Air Force during World War II. Third, it has value as a Plan B to disperse key bases in response to China's long-range missiles. In fact, the U.S. military has recently expanded its military infrastructure across Palau, the Philippines, Australia, and several islands in the Pacific, in addition to Guam and Okinawa. This is a strategy to reduce the risk of large bases, like Guam being hit hard in the event of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, or an all-out war between the U.S. and China. In other words, the revival of Tinian is not simply a reconstruction of facilities, but a signal for the U.S. to reorganize its Pacific strategy, and a turning point for a new military order.
The stage of history is opening again. Tinian Island is no longer a legacy of past wars, but is emerging as a front line in the coming U.S.-China confrontation.